after our last tour in Europe and kind of went, we got to go back to the drawing board. Like these, we're lucky to be out with these kinds of bands, but we watch our own set by playing it, of course, and then watching their set, and we go like, we're here and they're there. It's time for us to figure out how to get here.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at GhostCultMag.com, and I'm super stoked to be joined by Scott for the first time ever. Scott of Cryptodira. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. Happy summer.
Yeah.
As I say every time and every week, the world's on fire, but at least we have music to talk about. And no shortage of good art and music and film and things to take a look at to distract. Don't look over here at what's on fire. Just distract yourself.
You have to look at everything too much anyway. It's nice to look away.
Yeah, the doom scrolling will kill you. New EP coming out soon on one of our favorite labels, Silent Pendulum. Shout out to the homies in Seven Sons and many other bands on that label that we're fans of. They always do a really great job, actually. They kind of fly under the radar a little bit. They're not one of the big metal majors, but I feel like they command that respect for themselves and all their bands globally.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was our contract expired with Good Fight Music, and it was all amicable there, but it was time for us to go elsewhere. And we took a kick at some of the larger labels and whatnot, and for this particular release, something short, it felt really good to go, with friends. The owner of Silent Pendulum, Michael Cadnar, we had toured with him when he was in Number 12 Looks Like You many years ago, and obviously remained friends. So it was always, tag team, say what's up at a show. Hey, let's do a release one day. And then finally, it seemed like the stars aligned and it was time to do it. So it's been great.
Right on. I need to get a hold of Mike for an interview one of these days. I plan to make my way through all the labels and label people and have a chat at some point about the business, because I do feel like we're in a weirdly transformative time. And, props to you. And I like that vibe of going with friends and who you know and who you trust. It's so important these days. And it's so hard. I was just at the record store, and I have a podcast about vinyl, and we do nerdy deep dives on things.
That's awesome.
And we were talking about Melvin's reissues that came out on Boner Records, which was like their original little label that they had been a part of for their earliest releases before they signed to the major and then went back to indie. So it's like kind of interesting to look at their career and put it up against everybody else. Like, very few bands get to control their destiny. So that's super cool that you got to, at least for this EP. By the way, Genesis of Era coming out soon.
Yes.
Just make sure I get that out there.
Yeah, no, it was important, man. I mean, we did the big contract thing for a little bit. So it's, we'll probably get back to that world. I like to think we will, but it was just, we got 3 songs here. Why go for something so big? Why get so locked into something so long? Why not just call a buddy and be like, hey man, you want to put this thing out or what? And it's been awesome, working. And if you want to interview Mike, I mean, you might want to get a poison dart and try to pin him down, because he's in like 38 bands and runs the label. And good luck is all I have to say about that.
Yeah, fun fact: my super secret spy favorite weapon is a blow dart gun. Like, that shit is silent but deadly from good range if you practice hard enough.
Can't hide the swag of the blow dart. It's pretty awesome.
There it is. Nobody knows that I'm actually a spy when I'm not doing music journalism or marketing. My 2 careers. Maybe I have a third as a secret ninja assassin. And but yeah, Silent Pendulum. If you could stop them, you're right. Could you stop them? And yeah, what a killer record. And again, we followed the band for a long time. Long Island, Strong Island guys, right? And we're partly based in New York City still, and I live out west. But you guys have done some major tours and supported some huge bands, in my opinion, like really crucial, important bands. We were talking about your Palm Reader shirt off camera there for a second. I love them. And so, as you see this EP, you've had, a bunch of other releases. Where do you see the band? Is this sort of a step toward the next thing? Is this just one more rung on the ladder of progress you're making? Is there a grander vision beyond this EP? I know it's not out yet, but as we talk, but I'm just so captivated by the music on this.
Yeah. I would call this EP in a lot of ways a rebirth of the band. Believe it or not, it's I would describe it much less as a stepping stone and more as a new beginning, because we changed out a member in the band. We completely started, re-looking at the way we wrote music prior. And just sort of like, between some of the larger tours like that you mentioned, we picked up so much from those bands, and we kind of came back, after our last tour in Europe, and kind of went, we got to go back to the drawing board, like we're lucky to be out with these kinds of bands, but we watch our own set by playing it, of course, and then watching their set, and we go like, we're here and they're there. It's time for us to figure out how to get here, and so when we got back from Europe in 2023, we kind of almost scrapped a lot of the songs that we had, maybe pulled a couple of parts out of them, mostly scrapped them all and started rewriting music. And then the first few songs that essentially came of that were the Genesis of Air songs. So between doing that and recording them, and then changing on a longtime member amicably, and kind of taking on a what I describe as an all-star from another band. We had Vin Romanelli from Moontooth joined our band. And anytime somebody from Moontooth joins your band, it's like, like I said, it's like drafting an all-star. So that's been just like a shot in the arm for the band. So yeah, Genesis felt like almost like us poking back through daylight because we hadn't put out a full record since 2020, and going like, hey man, we're back. Here's what to expect from the band going forward, and this is literally just a taste because we're about halfway through writing a record already. The idea was to do an EP and then pretty quickly follow it up with a record. So no more long gaps for us.
I like everything about that. Thanks for unpacking all that. And the music business is hard to do music. It's a passion. You have to want to be here. I say this all the time about death metal, and it's the same thing wherever you see yourself under the umbrella of metal. You have to want to be here. Yeah. Nobody is here casually. You fans want to be at the shows. They want to find new music to listen to. We want to make music makers. We want to play shows. I imagine most of the time we want to put new stuff out. So I like that, sort of you're sort of, vision boarding your success with this EP. And the title track is epic. It's massive, and it feels like you guys, but it does feel like a leveling up of sorts. But I also love the new single that just came out. It kind of reminded me of Dillinger or Car Bomb, The Same River Twice, right? That's such a banger, and it's so fast and short. I like that it has no fat on it.
Yeah, there's a really funny story about that song. We come into the studio with 3 songs, of course, and that's what it became. And the second track on the album, Same River Twice, was about almost 5 minutes long when it was first brought in to the producers we worked with, who were, in this case, were Greg Thomas and Chris Teddy over at Silver Bullet Studios, who are just fucking legends. I mean, the record came out amazing. I can't say enough about the production, but those guys took a real interest in not just recording the songs, but making them the best they could. And when they started to unpack the demos on day one and kind of look at each one, they were like, look, that second song, The Same River Twice, is cool, but there's a ripper in the middle of it. And it was a more classic Cryptodira song beforehand, which had clean sections and clean vocals and these ebbs and flows. And they kind of said, track 1, No Monuments, does all that better than track 2. So crazy idea. What if you got rid of the beginning, you got rid of the end, you took that awesome part in the middle and you just fleshed it out, and we kind of wrote a new song there. And I was like, it was shocking. We had 7 days to record this EP, and I said, you want us to rewrite one of the songs? So Mike and I, our other guitar player, we got straight to work and just went to the riff dungeon, and we said we have to write an ass beater, and they basically challenged us to do exactly that. They said, why can't your band have a 2-minute song? Why not? I mean, you have a lot of 9-minute songs, a lot of 8-minute songs. Why can't you have a 2-minute song? I said, there's no reason why. Why not? I mean, we love Converge, we love Dillinger, we love all these bands that have dabbled in the short song world. So why can't we try it? So we rearranged it with Greg and wrote a bunch of new riffs and came out, and it's one of my favorite songs in the world to play. It's 1 minute and 47 seconds, and it is just pure fun.
Yeah, you definitely hit it right when you said ass beater. That's going to be a song that's going to need to get some work live because people are going to want to mosh. I'm sure a lot of your fans are just like the slow bearded head nodding dude, and like, oh, I love this part. This is my atmospheric part. I love this. But then you like surprise them with the fast ripper, and like, it's gonna it's gonna be like the China ting, what?
Yeah.
Squirrel. Right,
I'm in danger.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in danger. That's exactly right. Yeah, nice one. And of course, No Monuments, the opener, is also, like you said, super strong. And I love the video for it too. I know you had kind of a hand in that, right?
Yes. Yeah, I did. We all did, really. So funny thing about No Monuments is we shot it and edited the video within 2 weeks. And we had of it coming out. I mean, we had legitimately no time. Just a whole whirlwind of circumstances I won't bore you with, but ultimately we had to go back to the drawing board from our original video concept very, very, very late in the game. And so our guitar player Mike took over a directorial role and helped storyboard it with Vin, our bass player, and Matt, our drummer. The two of them came up with the concept. Mike came up with all the directorial stuff, a million shot list type of things with inspirations from movies and all this kind of thing. And then my job was essentially building the production. So everything you see, all like the curtain, pipe and drape and all that kind of stuff, I started building with 2x4s and PVC pipes as quickly as I possibly could, which was not all that easy. We shot the video until 2:30 in the morning, and there we were, disassembling all kinds of posts and everything in a warehouse. And but very happy about the way it came out. I mean, it was inspired by movies, which is what the band loves. We're all movie guys, especially Mike, our guitar player. He's just like the biggest movie geek in the world. So he went and said, like, I kind of hate music videos in the sense that, like, what a music video normally looks like, especially for a metal band. It's like, why can't we make them more cinematic? Why can't we draw from Hitchcock and David Lynch and all these people? Why do we have to draw from just like other metal videos? So it's a little kooky, it's a little a little quirky is probably how I would describe it, but it's just fun. At least when I look at it back, there's things I would do differently, especially with more time. But I really like that when I get to look at it, I go, you know what? Doesn't look like a lot of metal videos. It's a little out there.
You know what? I still think there's a place for music videos. I know I love that. Thank you for sharing all that. I love that the whole group worked on it and the production, and noted Mike is a big cinephile. We'll remember that for if we ever interview Mike. I do feel like there's still a place for them. They do help market the band. They show the personality of the band if allowed, or the personality is interpreted by a good director and videographer. So I think it's super cool. I do love that video. It is one of the more memorable videos to come along this year, in my opinion. And we see a lot of them, and some of them you're seeing a lot of AI stuff right now that I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not going to put you on the spot about your opinion about AI, but yeah, two thumbs down. Same here. Like, I get it. It's valuable and useful. And we have had machine learning for decades, right? Like, corrected text in your phone, it still doesn't know fuck from duck. But, like, these things are helpful. But I think the overhype and reliance and fear mongering, if you don't use AI, you're lost and behind. If you do use AI, you're a complete scrub. I don't want to see art and music co-opted and stolen from human beings making it, like, personally. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'll get off my soapbox now and give the interview back to you. But okay. Good job, guys, and thank you for making a real, actual person visioned and created and built video.
Yeah, if we're not doing that, we're not doing music anymore.
Yeah. Oh, right on. And this EP's coming out, and like you said, it's a really good step toward the next thing. You're already on the way to the next record, which is cool. Hopefully we'll see that in 26. Do you have any touring plans for the summer? I'm sure you're going to do a release show, right?
Yeah. We just got back this weekend. We did like a little regional Northeast thing in Maine, Connecticut, upstate, and Massachusetts. And then next weekend we're doing sort of home and home for any sports fans with our friends at East of the Wall. So we're playing New Jersey in their home on Friday, and then we're doing a full-on record release show at home in Long Island that we'll be headlining on the 26th, because the EP comes out on the 25th. But why not wait a day and really knock it out of the park on Saturday? Besides that, we got some stuff in the fall that's yet to be announced, and then see what next year brings.
Right on. Well, hopefully the new album will bring you over to the West Coast and all over the world, and that's my hope for y'all. Just in general, what else do you have going on this summer? What do you do personally? You got any trips planned? Do you sit at home and read books? Do you said the Rift Dungeon. I love that so much. You just sit in the Rift Dungeon and shred and work on stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I live in a one-bedroom condo with my girlfriend, but I do the best I can to make this my little riff studio, and yeah, for me personally, it's just been doing a lot of the EP prep stuff, because a lot of it's done in-house. Being in a band in 2025 is not just writing music anymore. It's being a graphic designer and a video editor, and those are roles that I take in the band, especially all the graphic design stuff, any kind of posting graphics and this, that, and everything. And light video editing, I'm certainly in no way, shape, or form a real videographer. But that kind of stuff, it keeps me busy when we're doing all this sort of rollout stuff, because, I mean, it's an amazing amount that bands have to post to stay on top of things, to stay relevant. And you're like, who is making all this shit for all these bands? And in my case, it's myself and Mike usually. So there's been a lot of that lately. We just actually, Mike was texting me all night last night about new songs. We're finally getting back to that. We were in full on writing mode, and then now that the EP is rolling out, we've been kind of put a pause on it. But getting back to that, which has been awesome. And then for me personally, man, I work my ass off. I mean, that's why I was late today because I got stuck at work doing my super boring day job. I know it's shocking. Musicians that tour the world also have horrible day jobs. I was I was screwing signs in the concrete because I work for I'm a project manager at a sign company. So, not exactly the most exciting thing in the world, but that keeps me busy. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. It's riffs. I mean, my girlfriend and I will probably be taking a little vacation out east, not far from here, maybe like an hour out east on Long Island to unwind for a few days in like a nice, cool old house hotel thing. And besides that, it's business as usual.
Right on, right on. I love that you mentioned that. Again, it's another sharing of the wealth and the responsibility. That's kind of usually my prototypical advice when it comes to music marketing. Is I know that it's tough to get your hands around the marketing of your band. It's equal to you made this video. You have to put the same attention to making music as you make promoting the band. And I know that's hard because in the old days, musicians, we didn't have that responsibility. So I love
Yeah.
that you said you guys share the wealth and who is making all this content. That is right. Someone is.
Yeah.
And I think, the ebb and flow of, a little compartmentalizing, I think is a real good approach to like today is music, today is riffs and songwriting hey buddy, today we have to barrel down and do some content. Like that's what it is. I know it's an ugly word, content, but it's
True
what
though.
I teach people.
Yeah, it's true. It's my least favorite part about being in a band. I'll be dead honest. I mean, it's fun when something comes out good, when you do a cool, video or whatever, and it's rewarding if people really resonate with it or enjoy it. But boy, oh boy, I would just like to sit around and write songs, man. It's not my favorite part. But I don't. The last thing I want to do is look at Spotify numbers. Somebody brings that up, I'm like, get it out of my face. I don't even want to think about it, But it's important stuff, unfortunately, for now.
Yeah, I always tell people Spotify is basically, if you look at it as anything more than a search engine for your band, it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Other platforms will pay you for playing songs and selling merch and connecting with your fan bases, not Spotify. It sucks that the entire music industry kind of caved to them early. You
Mhm.
can't listen, you can't watch I can't go watch Superman on my laptop. I mean, I probably could, but I'm not going to watch all of Superman before I go see it in a movie theater or before it comes to streaming,
Of course.
right? But like, why is the music industry that way?
Yeah.
Why is it that way? Now,
Why
like
can you
I
why can a record come out and you can go, oh cool, that band that came out right. Let me check that first song. I'm not feeling the first 30 seconds and that's it. There's no time invested in it anymore. I mean, not to be a boomer about it, but it's like when I was young and my parents would bring me to like Best Buy or FYE or a record store or whatever and be like, hey, you can buy a CD, right? So now my budget's like $15 and I would go and buy a CD. If the first 30 seconds of the first song isn't your favorite thing in the world, you don't throw the CD in the garbage. You keep listening to it. And then you go, oh, wow, that was just the intro. The second track kicks ass. And then the third, oh, wow, the seventh track is my favorite. And then those are the records you bond with, right? Like you're reading along the lyrics and you get the little booklet in your hands. And those are the records that become your favorite. I mean, I don't think I'm breaking any new ground by saying most people's favorite record when you're in your 30s or 40s or whatever, if your first record, if the most recent record you heard is probably not one of your favorites of all time. It's not that it can't happen. It's not that it doesn't happen. But how often does someone tell you like, dude, that new one from last year, it's my favorite record of all time? No, it's probably something from 25 years ago, minimum, from when they were a kid, and because there was a different bonding experience, and I'm finding it at times difficult to sort of cut through that and give people that sort of bonding experience with your music. And instead of maybe trying to do that, it's more just living with the fact that this is what it is, and hopefully connecting with people live instead, because I think that's the new avenue to connect to people more than the recorded music, unfortunately.
and lucky for us, we're in a weird age where vinyl came back, and I think you're a band that has always cared about every element, like your visual aspects, your artwork. So it's super cool, I'm sure, to get this on vinyl. I know it's coming out in two variants. We'll plug that also. Silent Pendulum, again, if it happens to be putting your record out, they always do a marvelous job on the packaging. It's really done with love and care as a vinyl nerd that collects a lot of stuff. And so, I think it's pretty cool, and I appreciate the sentiment on that. It's true. It's weird, but at the end of the day, I feel like artists, you just have to make your art and hope it connects and sticks with people. I think hopefully this terrible new generation of people will grow into music and art and film fans and not just be disposable later. Like, oh, all the TikTok people eventually have to get their attention spans back somewhere.
Yeah,
Hopefully it's in like 10 more years when long form things come back and are appreciated a little bit better.
for
But we'll
sure.
see. Who knows? I love to end these with a wild card question, and so my wild card question for you is: let's get back into time machine. What is the first song or album you ever remembered loving? It could be as a child. It doesn't have to be metal. It could be embarrassing. It could be amazing. What is that first music memory of a song that made you love music?
I'll give you a couple. And first of all, I'm not embarrassed about anything because everyone's musical journey gets you where you gets you. What do I care? You know, the first song that I remember like feeling like it was mine and not just something that was on like my parents, car stereo or whatever, was "In the End" by Linkin Park, which I'm sure is many people my age. I'm 30, about to be 32 for anyone who's wondering. And I remember being in my dad's car and the shit was on the radio like every day, and I was like, this is kind of awesome, you know. And he would just put on whatever pop or rock radio was on at the time for his younger kids instead of listening to what he liked. And I'm glad he did because like that felt like mine and not his or my mom's. In 2004, I bought from my that very same dad brought me to Best Buy and I bought Green Day's American Idiot. And to this day, one of my favorite albums and one of my favorite bands of all time. So that hasn't changed. It's been 20 years now, and absolutely no part of that has changed. I remember having that experience I detailed earlier about, listening to the booklet and putting my brother's big stereo in our shared bedroom and just cranking it, man. I mean, by cranking it, it was on like, 10% because he had this giant amp that this like, would never turn past like 10, 15% because it was so loud. And just being wowed by the songwriting. My mom had Dookie, and when I bought American Idiot, she was like, "You like that band? I have an older one of their albums." And she gave me Dookie, and I was like, "Whoa, my God, this is unbelievable!" And to this day, I'm wowed by the songwriting on that record. There was a band that was kind of on the downswing coming from the Warning album, and things were sort of, maybe people were starting to lose interest in them, and they reinvented and rebirthed their entire band. And now there's pianos, now there's third guitar, and now there's, I mean, all these operatic elements, not operatic, but these sort of like production elements that were there prior. And that band, I was talking to the guys about it in the van the other day. They had two popularity peaks. It was like your giant 90s wave thing, and then it went down, and then it did it again. And I'm like, I don't know that many bands that did it twice. I mean, I'm sure anyone listens to it will be like, no, you idiot, this band, that band, this. But like it feels like a lot of bands have their big moment and then they kind of like dip and then they maintain. They were like this and then whoop. And I mean, they were just as relevant when I was a kid as when somebody 10 years older than me was a kid. And I think that's awesome, you know? So just even taking still to this day, that sort of rebirthing mentality is kind of what we were thinking about when we were doing Genesis of Error, was like, obviously not quite the same thing or on the same scale, but it's like, what can we add to this band that people aren't expecting? And it's not that Genesis is a giant musical departure, but it's more of like a sign of where things are going. I mean, you alluded to the last track on the album, which has got much larger sounding elements to it, and in a lot of ways is slower than most of our other songs, and it doesn't jump around so much, and it doesn't have so much entropy in it, and it seems to sort of revolve around an idea or two, which is a fun challenge. So yeah, to wrap it back around, those are where I started. Yeah.
Nice work. Always helping out the journalist. I appreciate you with the segue back. I love Linkin Park and Green Day unashamedly. I just saw Green Day a couple of months ago, and they did both American Idiot and Dookie stuff, and it was
Awesome.
weird to see them become like a huge Metallica-like band as a
Yeah.
punk band, but also like amazing, like very amazing across my life. And I'm a little older than you, so wild shit. Absolutely great talking to you and getting to meet you formally, finally. And congratulations on the new EP coming out soon. And I wish you the best. Be safe on the road. And we'll be following along, and I'll see you soon out there.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for having me. I totally appreciate it. Stay in touch.